Russia saved its best tank for a year, then lost it in minutes. That's the story out of the Pokrovsk Axis. Columns of T-90M, the showpiece of Russia's armored forces, rolled toward a small village and met a modern defense that fights in 3 dimensions. Mines under the tracks, FPV drones in the tree line, artillery bracketing the lanes. Within hours, the assault stalled, vehicles burned, and the myth around Russia's world's best tank took another hit. The push near Pokrovsk was supposed to restore momentum. After months of infantry-first probing around outlying settlements, Russian planners reverted to a mechanized template. Motorcycles to screen and soak fire, then armored fighting vehicles and tanks, reportedly including T-90M, advancing in waves. The reported objective was simple and ruthless: seize a village strongpoint north of Pokrovsk and use it as a hardened launching pad to pressure the city's logistics. Ukraine didn't meet armor with armor. It met it with a layered kill box. Forward obstacles, mines seated along obvious approach lanes, forced the formation to bunch and slow. Small drone teams, now as common as mortar crews, hunted from tree lines and ruined out buildings. Gun trucks and dismounts relayed target grids over mesh radios, passing locations to tube artillery and rocket batteries waiting on pre-registered coordinates. FPVs finished what suppression started, slipping under side skirts, slamming turret rings, or targeting engine decks. The result wasn't a single spectacular ambush. It was a compounding of frictions, mobility problems turning into command problems, which turned into survivability problems. Russian crews tried to push through, but the geometry was ugly. In open steppe, speed is armor. In choke points, speed becomes a liability. Every pause to recover a mobility kill gave Ukrainian spotters time to stack more fires. Every detour into a hedgerow opened angles for drones to dive at soft spots. By night, Ukrainian bomber drones extended the harassment, picking at isolated vehicles and recovery attempts. By morning, the decisive assault looked like so many others in this war. Wrecks on the approach, tracks torn up, and the initiative back in Ukrainian hands. On paper, the T-90M Proryv looks like the right tool for the job. A 125mm smoothbore gun able to fire conventional rounds and guided missiles. A fire control suite advertised to extend accurate engagement ranges. Explosive reactive armor packages, relicked by Russian claims, layered over composite base armor. Side cage kits and add-ons to frustrate RPGs. A modernized power pack with enough torque to keep pace with BMPs and motor rifles. Russian leadership has pitched it, publicly, as the gold standard. In contact, the tank faces threats that didn't shape its original design. Top attack missiles target the thin roof arcs. FPV drones don't care about frontal KE equivalents. They seek seams, turret rings, engine vents, bustle racks. Area mines don't need to defeat the turret. They just need to break tracks and stop the formation, buying minutes for drones and artillery to do their work. And the crew survivability debate hasn't gone away. Autoloader layouts keeping ammunition close to human beings remain a legacy vulnerability. None of this means the T-90M is paper. It means the battlefield changed faster than Russian armor did. The systemic issue is not a single tank spec sheet, it's combined arms. Tanks require suppression of enemy sensors and fires, route clearance, electronic warfare cover to degrade drone links, and smoke/obscurance to deny spotters. Strip any one layer, and survivability plummets. In the Pokrovsk sector, Ukraine forced contact on its terms, short windows, bad angles, and constant ISR pressure. The T-90M's proven strengths, stabilized gunnery, long-range missiles, matter less when you're dislocated by obstacles and hunted by munitions that cost a fraction of your hull. First, this is a pacing test for modern armor. Every time Russia commits T-90Ms en masse and fails to achieve a breakthrough, it teaches the same lesson in high definition. Armor is still relevant, but only when the rest of the orchestra plays in tune. Without EW dominance, air defense coverage, engineer breaching mass, and disciplined command and control, even best-in-class, tanks become expensive magnets for explosive delivery. Second, Ukraine's defense is now an industrial method, not a lucky ambush. The country has spent 2+ years turning cheap sensors into aiming points and cheap drones into precision strike. By early 2025, credible field reporting suggested FPV output in the 6 figures per month across both sides. Ukraine has leaned into that curve with better optics, better warheads, and tighter kill chain software. The effect compounds. Every stalled assault feeds data back to improve the next defense. Ukraine's edge isn't a single weapon, it's the loop. Third, Russia faces a strategic trade-off. Hold your best tanks back, and the front grinds along at infantry tempo, bleeding time, and political oxygen. Commit them without the enablers, and you risk high-visibility failures that undercut deterrence and export prospects. Neither outcome produces the clean, decisive image Moscow wants for domestic audiences or foreign buyers watching performance under fire. Finally, the narrative war matters. Moscow called the T-90M the world's best. Videos of immobilized hulls and spinning turrets, whether rare anomalies or not, become the viral counter-narrative. Ukraine understands the information fight runs alongside the kinetic one. Quick edits from drone feeds, geolocated wrecks, before/after trench lines. These are as much fires as artillery shells, shaping expectations and external support. The key shift isn't a new missile, it's a new workflow. Ukraine's defenders increasingly fight with pre-computation, likely approach vectors mapped, minefields in place to canalize, kill zones pre-registered, drone teams rehearsed on simulators that mirror terrain. When the first motorcycle scouts appear, the rest of the sequence is already set. Recon by noise triggers recon by fire. The first mobility kill triggers the drone swarm. The first smoke screen triggers counter-battery radar, and he/PICM to the origin. Each layer cues the next. On the Russian side, success demands something harder than courage. Discipline under electronic pressure. It means not bunching in the notch of a tree lean because a lead vehicle sloughed to track. It means maintaining spacing even when FPVs buzz your glassy. It means trusting suppressive belts and smoke rather than gunning the throttle into a suspected mine lane. Most of all, it means sequencing engineers, EW, artillery, and armor so that each arrives when the other needs it, not when it's convenient. That orchestration is rare, and getting rarer as Ukrainian ISR improves. Protection versus angle. ERA tiles and add-on kits frustrate older RPG shots in the frontal arc. They do much less against top-attack and off-angle FPVs guided by operators who can hover, recon, and dive on choice. Armor philosophy built for shaped charges in predictable arcs struggles with free-angle kamikaze drones. Mobility versus mines. Any tank stops when the track breaks. What matters is what happens in the next 90 seconds. In this war, 90 seconds is enough for 2 FPVs from different directions, an observing quadcopter to adjust artillery, and a loitering munition to arrive. A mobility kill is now a death sentence unless recovery assets and obscurants are on scene immediately. Firepower versus see first. A stabilized 125mm that can reach beyond 2 miles is lethal, if the crew sees first and shoots first. In drone-dense air, see first belongs to the side that networks more eyes and shares the picture faster. That advantage currently favors Ukraine at many points of contact. Ergonomics versus survivability. Auto-loaders keep silhouettes low and rates of fire consistent. They also keep ammunition close. When penetrations happen, or when spall and heat cook off, the consequences can be catastrophic. Russia has added turret racks and cage armor, but the underlying geometry hasn't changed. Don't expect Russia to park the T-90M. Expect it to adapt. More field-expedient armor kits, more laser dazzlers and anti-drone nets over bays and optics, tighter integration of EW to jam FPV control links, heavier first-echelon engineer attachments to push decent mine breaching, smoke-generating routes to blind quadcopter spotters. You'll also see tactical shifts, night-heavier thrusts, decoy columns built to eat drones, and more artillery plow-downs of likely drone hide sites before armor moves. Ukraine will adapt, too. Expect smarter swarms. FPVs routed by autonomy libraries that keep attacking even under jamming. Munitions with heavier YFP or self-forging fragment warheads tuned for turret rings, and ISR layers that fuse phone tower pings, acoustic arrays, and balloon-borne eyes with the ground truth from small teams. The defender's goal is the same. Force armor to choose between speed and safety, and punish either choice. At the operational level, the armor story ties back to industry. Russia appears to be pushing hard to grow output of modernized hulls and refurbish older ones. Ukraine, backed by partners, is pushing just as hard to industrialize drones, artillery ammunition, and sensors. The side that scales its kill chain faster than the other scales hulls determines how the next season looks. Mechanized thrusts are about more than land grab. They're about bargaining power. A successful armored break-in north of Pokrovsk would have let Russia threaten roads, depots, and morale. Failing publicly has the opposite effect. It strengthens the defender's political case for more aid and better munitions, and it pressures the attacker to spend elite assets in follow-on attempts. In an information-transparent war, repeated failed, decisive pushes are costly far beyond the wreck count. There's also an export echo. Foreign buyers watch real wars, not brochures. If the most modern Russian tank repeatedly appears in feeds being disabled by $500 to $2,000 drones, it changes calculations in defense ministries far from Donbass. Even if some clips misrepresent context or hide the time's armor performs well, perception shapes procurement. Tanks aren't obsolete. Unsupported tanks are. The T-90M didn't suddenly become a bad machine. It entered a battle space where the cheapest sensor can make the costliest error fatal. Ukraine designed that battle space on purpose, one where every meter forward imposes a toll in time, attention, and attrition. When Russia paid that toll near Pokrovsk, it discovered the price is higher than a glossy spec sheet suggests. For viewers tracking the war's direction, this is the lesson to bank. The winner isn't the side with the shiniest platform. It's the side with the fastest learning cycle. Right now, on many fronts, Ukraine is iterating the defense in depth with drones faster than Russia is iterating the combined arms assault with armor. That imbalance, not a single skirmish, explains why ambitious mechanized punches keep turning into broken knuckles. If you want modern war explained without the sales pitch, how mines, drones, and doctrine beat best in the world claims, stick with us. Tap subscribe, hit the bell, and share this with someone who still thinks armor alone wins battles. We'll keep cutting through the noise so you can see how the fight actually works, one shattered myth at a time.